High in the Andes, beyond the mist, beyond time itself, lies the sacred lake of Titicaca, the birthplace of myth, of empire, of legend. Pachacuti's vision didn't start in stone. It began here, where the waters whispered the rise of the Inca. In 1401, a ruler was born who would reshape the Andes forever. Pachacuti Inca Yupanqui, his name meant earth-shaker, and his reign from 1438 to 1471 would turn a kingdom into an empire. So great, so powerful, the spirits still hold us captive, pulling us deeper, their presence undeniable. You feel it, I feel it, and yet the mystery lingers. A spiritual timestamp, pressed into the very bones of these mountains, carried in the breath of the clouds, not lost, not forgotten, but held, felt, pulsing frequency. The body walks these sacred lands, firm in its footing, bound to the earth. The soul, untethered, moves with the rhythm of the past, carried in the echoes of our ancestors. And the spirit dominates, more valuable than land, air, and space. Precious. The Incas believed in more than conquest, more than kings, more than empires. They believed in connection, to land, to sky, to forces beyond understanding. The spirit spoke through the mountains, the soul carried its message, and the body honored it. Through ritual, through sacrifice, through devotion. This was their sacred pass, a passage carved in time, bound to the cosmos, echoing through the stone and sky, held in the pulse of the Andes. If you like what you've heard, you're still here. That's good. Stick around. Because as you look through your screen, you're not just watching. You're staring into a portal, into the window of gateways. We're heading deeper, into the Temple of the Three Windows. Wait, I got it. Before we perceive the secrets of the three windows, can we talk about how ancient civilizations aligned their monuments with celestial precision? Yet somehow I still struggle to park straight? First window, Hanan Pacha, the celestial realm, the domain of the gods, where the Andean condor soars through the heavens. This is the sacred space of Inti, the sun god, and Viracocha, the great creator, a realm untouched by earthly struggles where cosmic forces shape destiny. As the golden rays of dawn pierce through the three windows, the condor takes flight, carrying wisdom from the divine. This is ascension, this is power, this is Hanan Pacha, second window. Kaipacha, the middle world, is where humans, animals, and nature coexist, a realm of struggle, balance, and transformation. The Incas saw this as the battlefield of existence, where life unfolds, challenges are faced, and wisdom is earned. This is how the shamans of the middle realm, the second window, connected with earth, water, and the sun gods solely through this portal. If they tried to access the other realms, they would be denied entry, condemned for their vision was different. One dares not pass. The Inca high shamans performed sacred ceremonies at Machu Picchu, using the second window as their spiritual conduit, a passage between realms that only the enlightened could navigate. Even though the shamans wield immense power, they cannot cross into the other realms. Their energy is bound to Kaipacha, the middle realm. But the network of shamans across the Incan world ensured that wisdom was never lost. Through sacred transmissions, they could send messages between the realms, allowing frequency to flow where their bodies could not. This is what granted the Incas mastery over cosmic alignment, frequency, intention, and the divine conduit between mind and earth. Through their attuned hands, they fed Pachamama with purpose, shaping civilization with sacred balance. Choqquequirao, the lost sister of Machu Picchu, sits at the Amazon's threshold, proving the Incas' deep integration beyond the highlands. Here, where cloud forests kiss the Andean slopes, they harness jungle resources, merging wisdom from stone temples to fertile rainforest expanses. The unseen energy coursed through their terraces, their plazas, their celestial observatories, each stone, each pathway, encoded with ancient knowledge. If you've felt the pulse of the Inca's celestial wisdom, the flight, the balance, the connection, then honor this journey, let it resonate. We've ascended through the condor's realm, seen the wisdom of Kaipacha, but the third window. It is not what you think. Channel down. Shift your focus. The unseen depths await. And once you step through, the knowledge cannot be undone. Hucupacha was ruled by Supe, the god of the underworld, but it was also deeply connected to Pachamama, the Earth Mother. The serpent symbolized wisdom, transition, and the unseen forces that shape existence. It was the bridge between realms, moving through the earth and carrying knowledge from the depths. This realm was not feared. It was respected, as it held the secrets of life's cyclical nature, guiding souls through transformation. Realm of the ancestors, predating the Incas, where spirits and wisdom from past civilizations reside. Malqui, the preserved mummies of Incan ancestors, believed to hold spiritual power and guidance from Uku Pacha. The prominent dead would sometimes be removed from their tombs. These were called malqui, where they would participate posthumously in ceremonies and then be offered food as if they were alive and participating members. The Incas' practice of mummification is an ancient technique that demonstrates their deep respect not only for the Alu, or older generations of their communities, but for their spiritual connection to all life. Mummies were treated with deep reverence, believed to be the bridge between the living and the gods. These royal mummifications weren't ordinary burials, they were transformations. Jacketed in finer textiles, wrapped in layers of status and power, they weren't just preserved, they were enthroned. Each was placed in special chambers called malques, where their presence never faded. Unlike the common fetal positioning, the royal dead were set in lifelike positions, sculpted into eternal rulers, their bodies posed as if still watching over the empire, still holding dominion over time itself. If you like what you've learned so far, don't lose me now. Stick around and see. A clean water source and supply was one of the most crucial aspects of any community. And Inca engineers, they mastered it. Machu Picchu wasn't just built, it was carved into existence. The foundations followed water, not the other way around. 16 fountains, cut through stone, powering an empire. Water, the first element of control, the foundation of Machu Picchu. The ruler drank first, the city rose around his source. Not just flow, a system of precision, bending nature to will. Bypass channels, engineered to ensure perfection in every drop. Arabelos, vessels of purity, preserving the essence of life itself. Water was sacred, water was power. But power in the wrong hands became devastation. Grasp your fist, unfold it. We set our eyes on Pizarro, pure betrayal, to the Inca Emperor. He lived by the sword, and in the end, the sword chose him. Because Pizarro didn't just take gold, he took trust, and just like that, he made history, by rewriting it with steel. The tide carried them forward, Panama behind, destiny ahead. Francisco Pizarro stood at the helm, not as an explorer, as a conqueror. In the year 1524, the first attempt was made. Resistance held firm. The jungle swallowed men whole. In the year 1526, the Spanish saw gold, but conquest was denied. Now, 1532, the final strike. History was about to change. 2 attempts, 2 failures, the jungle was merciless. The Incas never sweated. Pizarro swung 3 times. Smallpox benched both, and it's still winning. Wait, I got it. Pizarro swung swords. Smallpox swung funerals. Guess who won? Comment down below. On deck, Francisco Pizarro, Diego de Almagro, Hernando de Luque, navigating, Bartolomé Ruiz, steering toward fate. November 15th, 1532. As the last oar strikes sand, history trembles. Pizarro's crew steps forward, blind to the unraveling world before them. Beyond the tree line, silent watchers remain. The sky, the land, the depths, watching. 3 keepers bound by prophecy, thirsting for balance. The gods do not ask, they do not wait, they claim. As Atahualpa's elite warriors monitored heavily, Pizarro and his men, foreign shadows against sacred ground, were met with an unspoken warning. A tactical display, a staged confrontation, not to strike, yet, but to signal the inevitable. Few words were exchanged, but the meaning was clear. Leave, or face the wrath that comes. Pizarro stepped back, giving time to render. He was not buying it. That was when one of Pizarro's foot soldiers, not Pedro Pizarro, took an arrow to the eye deep from within the jungle. Another of Pizarro's men, Alonso de Toro, felt the coils tighten, a venomous bite sinking into flesh. He survived, barely, only to curl into a fetal position, weighing it out in silence. He was weak but stable, his injuries kept secret. Vulnerability was not an option. The jungle did not forgive hesitation. But out of nowhere, more of Pizarro's men emerged from behind the canal-fed terraces at the edge of the valley, hauling compact artillery and steel unfamiliar to the Inca, carried not just by muscle, but by the momentum of conquest. Not long now. Forgive me, Father. I knew what I did. I marched for empire, but I will die alone soon enough. Pizarro sent a messenger to the Baños del Inca estate while he stayed and set camp. The words were few but heavy. The great governor from the west awaits you. He comes not with force, but with gifts and peace. Come to Cajamarca. Let us break bread. Atahualpa, fresh from crushing his half-brother Inti Hualpa Huáscar in April 1532 during a brutal dynastic war, arrived cloaked in triumph. He believed this was diplomacy, so he brought no weapons, only nobles, priests, dancers, and gold. Children of the Andes, today we do not conquer, we arrive. With the serpent's wisdom beneath our feet, the puma's strength at our side, and the condor watching from above, we walk as one. Not as men, not as servants, as the sun itself. Let them watch, let them wonder, for we do not kneel, we carry the sky. Meanwhile, Pizarro stayed hidden. The Spaniards are concealed in buildings around the plaza. Cavalry waits behind doors. Arquebusiers and falconets are positioned in ambush. The plaza is eerily empty. I see my nobles fall, but I do not fall. They scream, I remain, not from pride, from design. If this is death, then let them paint it golden. If this is fate, let them choke on how still I sit. I have seen omens coil in the smoke above the Andes, and they looked just like this day, not because I feared it, because I was born for it. When the smoke cleared, Atahualpa wasn't surrounded by warriors. He was surrounded by cobardes, Francisco Pizarro Gonzalez, not a king, not a priest, just a cold-blooded tactician who bet everything on steel, gunpowder, and silence. Hernando de Soto, reins clenched, jaw set, eyes locked on the Inca, waiting for fear to surface. All he saw was calculation. Vicente de Valverde Alvarez de Toledo, Dominican friar, clutching scripture like a weapon. His voice cracked behind holy words as he preached into smoke. And Felipilo, not a surname, not a priest, not a soldier, just a voice. The voice that cracked a continent, the interpreter. Miguel de Estete, pen already moving. His version was being written before Atahualpa finished breathing. He wasn't recounting from afar. He was the first recorded field witness, present, ink in hand, as it unfolded. As Atahualpa rose, not one of them met his gaze. Heads turned to the wall, to the floor, to the god they invoked, everything but his eyes. They feared not judgment, they feared recognition. Valverde moved first, not with courage, but with a kind of conviction that stank of midnight ink and dried wax. The Bible in his hands was opened wide, trembling just enough to rattle the beads down its spine. Each step toward Alpa cracked the silence like dry tendon snapping on stone. His knees didn't bend so much as they buckled rhythmically, stiff from age, fear, and the pretense of certainty. He wasn't approaching a man. He was approaching the weight of everything he'd sworn would justify this moment. Alpa stood still. His mind wasn't. 3 rooms, he thought. 1 for the sun, 2 for its shadows. I gave them not to surrender, but to stop what I already knew was coming. And now this priest. Valverde stepped closer, words waiting behind cracked lips. This isn't salvation, Alpa thought, pages shaking in hands that already made their choice. The silence between them thickened, like smoke before fire. Valverde, voice firm, hands trembling behind the robe. By the law of God and the crown of Castile, you, Atahualpa, are hereby found guilty. You are granted one last mercy. Accept Christ as your creator, and kneel to his majesty, King Charles of Spain. May God have mercy on your soul. The words hung. Not judgment, not mercy, just an ending that had already begun. And in the unseen folds of the veil, where time forgets its own face, the 3 watchers stirred. They had been waiting, not for a man, but for a breath. For my spirit's path I accept. Francisco Atahualpa, I am named, a conduit not for your frail cross, but the eternal tapestry of my kin, woven beyond your grasp. The air thickened as Valverde's quivering decree fell. Garroting shall spare the flame. May God's gaze pierce your soul, though his light dims in his shadowed crucible. The cross wavered, a frail totem beneath the weight of a faith untested, its words dissolving into the ether of his own doubt. Alpa lies on the cold stone of the plaza, his face turned skyward, eyes closed, but the peace on his brow cuts deeper than any rope. His litter rests nearby, gilded and wounded, like a throne cast aside by time. The moon pierces the clouds, not violently, but as if the sky itself parts in reverence. His chest no longer moves, yet the ground beneath him hums, a sacred vibration, low and ancient, as if the stones remember him. He did not fall. He rose beneath the weight, surrendered not to death, but to a silence too holy for conquest. And now, the wind carries what no rope could choke. The sky echoes what no blade could bury. A name chiseled into the marrow of stone, a breath so sacred, it outlives the empire that dared to silence it.